is somewhere out there.
Sodium Party is it's about light, areas of light, and the darkness that's all around outside that, and the things and people that are drawn in to the light and how they exist together. My grandfather always showed me Super 8 movies, and at some stage we've gotten some other families and they got ours. And I always loved looking at this really odd one where there was a tiny, tiny baby was getting bathed, and there was a really worried looking man beside this red brick house. And I was just always wondered, who are those people? Why does this man look so worried? I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to kind of add in a story for these people? Because if you're showing it randomly, you'll end up building something. They got loads and loads of slides. That's where it started, and then I thought, oh, maybe I'll make a film or a script around that. So the first draft was just that, but that is clearly a terrible idea. So we didn't do that, and we ended up just developing the story from found footage that we'd created. So it started off as a metaphor for moths, which are drawn to the light, and then when they're mating, the males have sodium, like salt from sweat, and they will need it themselves, but they will give it as a kind of courtship gift to the female. And when they do that, they give so much of it that they end up dying themselves. At first I tried to get a few people interested, and quite a lot of people were, because at that stage there was quite a lot of money around and everybody could afford to be quite indulgent. Maybe 100,000, and then all the money disappeared, and then at least we could definitely maybe bring it in for 25,000, and then that disappeared. There was one person who gave me advice and said, if you have very little money, find people who just are into the idea, and that's all that will matter. So we met that Mick Berry, who was a friend of Slaney's, and he'd been a patron of the arts and funded some of her movies, and he was looking for somebody to do a short, and he just wanted just the fun of doing it. And I managed to convince him that a short would never make money, and he should really invest his money in a feature that would never make money, because at least it looks better on your kind of library wall. Everything was sort of set up, and then we lost a little more money, and then Ali and Richard came in.
It was an amazing opportunity for me at 21 to produce my first feature film even before I graduated college.
Michael was one of my tutors, and he came into us one day with this trailer that he showed us, trying to get our feedback on it, our entire class. It was a bizarre thing with, Russian subtitles and, very Eastern European people in it. And that ended up being the trailer for Sodium Party. He gave Ali and myself two scripts he wrote, Sodium Party and another script, and kind of wanted us to read them and see what we thought.
I read both very quickly, within maybe an hour and a half, both, milled them. And I saw potential in this one.
I was kind of in the vein of kind of David Lynch film, which we were really into at the time. We really wanted to see more films like that. We didn't think there was anything like that in Ireland at the time as it was.
I liked this one, and it was about a girl and kind of her growing up and how difficult it was. And I suppose at that age I kind of related it to it. And then Michael told me why he wrote it, and he had written it for his daughter to make it for her. And I was like, well, then we must do it. We must leave your mark in the world, and it had to be done.
Ali was talking to him a lot, and he was asking Ali's advice on an awful lot of things to do with the production. And I kind of went, okay, it seems like this film is actually going to be happening, and it seems like he's probably trying to get Ali to produce it. But I don't think Ali kind of thought that.
He starts asking me these questions about, like, how would you produce a film? Not would you produce a film, how would you do this? Then a couple of months later, it's like, Ali, will you produce this film? Which really shocked me, but not everyone else I told. And I went, yeah.
She was shocked, going to me, he asked me to produce the film? Like, of course he did.
It was something very exciting and something tangible that I felt we could do with our, limited production budget and limited skills, and possibly because I was massively naive at the time.
Then we lost a little more money, and then we started. So there was only really one significant rewrite where Ali came round, and it was a summer's day, and I think she had a broken foot. She usually has a broken foot.
I really liked the original one, but like we knew we'd always be limited, like money-wise. So the script had to change with our ideals. So like we kind of consolidated a lot of things and changed stories, but like we kept it still pretty loose.
On that day, we sat down, spent about a day just tearing the whole thing apart, and sort of changed the end, added a bit to the start, and it just kind of fit it.
Claire made her relationship with Danny a lot stronger and brought that out about it coming of age and going to college, and kind of went from there and decided to do more of a love story than anything else.
We both knew it was still quite loose, but we were able to go, oh, it's not loose, it's just experimental. We went, well, sure, a lot of it will be rewritten in the edit, which is a brilliant lie to tell yourself.
So obviously we're going to tell ourselves, yeah, we can fix it in post, which is something I've learned not to say ever again. Ever. Ever.
Pre-production, I'd guess 7 weeks. Is that right?
Traditionally, what they tell you in books when they do feature films is pre-production is 12 weeks long. We gave ourselves, I think, 7.5, 8 weeks. And that was to do rewrites, cast, raise money, and everything. And we didn't really have a crew around us. It was Michael, myself, and when Richard came back from living abroad. Richard!
I worked as a co-producer with Ali, sorting out more kind of the little bits and bobs or logistics or the timings, the scheduling. Then I also acted as the assistant director, because the two roles kind of overlapped a lot. Making sure the scenes were shot in time, making sure that the actors were where they should be.
Like at that stage, I didn't believe we were going to shoot. I was like, this is good fun, and we're all kind of talking about this, but obviously we're not actually going to have to do this. And that feeling stayed until the second week of shooting, where I realised that we weren't going to stop.
Our budget was €3,300, and it looked a lot more than €3,300, and that budget was given to me in 500 increments in brown envelopes throughout the entire shoot.
A lot of the things that we got in the film were kind of by our own ingenuity. The only things that really cost a lot of money were things like the classic car, and then rolls of grass that's in the bathroom scene, which cost a lot and were extremely heavy and cumbersome to bring around the place.
We were very lucky to get Slaney Kelly. She'd been a friend of mine for years before that as well. We'd done music video, shorts and things like that throughout the years. She was kind of going, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, okay, and would you like to read it? She was, yeah, but I'll do it as well. Anyway, we were going to have a meeting about it, so I met Mick and herself. I just happened to bring a little bit of costume and a little bit of camera. I was like, yeah, do you want to just talk about that thing? But while we talk about it, I'll film you and you'll be wearing the costumes that we'll use in the film. And she went, okay, yeah, so it's a total lie. There's no meeting here at all. So we did that, shot a little promo. James was somebody I knew when he was studying acting in college, and then he went off to England. But I'd always thought there was just something kind of like special about him. We asked him would he like to be in it, and he kind of hemmed and hawed for a while, but eventually I think he was kind of pressured into doing it.
And I remember selling it to him on the fact that, it's really only 3 or 4 days worth of shooting if you look at it, because of a day here and a day there, and you're not going to be put out. And, I'm sure if you get offered this other work, we can work something out. I mean, it was all lies. He ended up doing a couple more days than he thought he was going to be doing, but he ended up being happy doing it.
He certainly jumped into it once he'd started. He was really cool to work with. Marion was, again, like Slaney, had been somebody that we'd all known for ages, and we always knew that there would be a part in it for him. We just weren't sure which one it would be. Michael Liebman is like an old friend of mine. He's been acting since, I'm guessing from the costumes and the things he shows me, I'm guessing it was the early 80s he's been acting from, hopefully, with costumes like that.
Michael McCabe was also someone Michael knew from his work. Michael McCabe taught the acting course, went for the role of Mr. Greer, brought a sort of otherworldly quality to it.
We kind of got our friends around us and then had an open casting, so it was as loose as that.
We got a lot of people from there, but it was kind of a strange thing because I just remember having a massive headache that day and seeing a lot of people and having to kind of filter, and it was difficult to do because the experience wasn't there for me, so it was kind of like, I suppose the naivety comes in again. But in saying that, we were very fortunate and we actually found like a lot of solid people. We found Melissa that way, we found Katie that way, and we found Quillen and Brona that way.
You know, these two kids really stood out. Oh, they're actually cousins. And it was a nice little sort of serendipitous thing that we weren't expecting.
We auditioned them separately, which is, in hindsight, we should have auditioned them together. And there was just something really like a little sparkle that each girl had. And they, to me, were the gems of the day. I still remember their auditions. For the day of stress that open casting was, those gems were worth it.
It was the first time for everybody, and we were all as scared as each other. I work in a college, and there was loads of ex-students that had left and were doing really well for themselves. So even though they owed me absolutely nothing, I kind of demanded a favour of them all. So the crew were just people you knew you could rely on, and they all went, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll do that," just for the laugh of it.
The cinematographers, we ended up with Adam and Ash. You don't normally get a team of cinematographers, but Adam would look after lights for the most part, and Ash would look after the camera work. They worked as this really great cohesive unit. Nobody
let us down at all. Everybody was absolutely amazing.
And the drive people had to have was it was something to kind of get through that film.
On the first day, I had decided that I would need to be able to see because I had glasses, but the leg had fallen off, and then just the week before the shoot, the other leg fell off. But I thought, you know what, this is big time. I'm going to get contact lenses. So I got the contact lenses, and I got them the day of the first day of shooting. There's no adjustment period at all when you put in contact lenses after not having worn them for 20 years. That works out brilliantly. Beyond that, we went down to a meadow with a picnic, and there was a shot that went up, and there was some weird shots. There was like an exposure problem that we all went, oh no, everything we've done is massively overexposed and has weird colour. But luckily that's what I was hoping to do with it in post anyway. We did stuff down by a river, and it was kind of easy day. It was much easier than I expected. Lots of cast, the kids were there. It was a big chunk of the cast all done together in the one day. So everybody got to know each other, and we got to kind of see the crew working, and everything went really well.
Michael, I believe, was driving up towards our location, and the back of his Jeep burst open. Props and costume fell out as he was driving.
The only other thing I remember is there was loads of stuff about carvings of a tree that was very difficult to shoot and match. It was quite an emotional performance, and then we didn't use any of it.
Realistically, I found all of it was good, because even the bad aspects of it, so the things where you're like, oh my god, we're not going to get that, we're going to have to compromise, we're going to have to change, like locations changing, you still learn something from it. So there was always that silver lining.
I love hearing other people's interesting production stories and interesting like sort of anecdotal nightmares about things, but I like it when there aren't any, because you can plan for lots and lots of stuff, and then the amount of other stuff that goes wrong when you have no money it's not even nice to think about.
What it made you do, the bad moments, is it made you think on your feet. And like that is the most important thing you could ever do when going to make a feature film.
If there was loads of drama stuff, I was avoiding it.
Kieran O'Connor is down as executive producer on the film. That's because he gave us a ridiculous amount of help, a lot of advice. But another big thing he gave us was his garden to use for the location for the garden of the kids. The only tracking shot in the film is in that garden. We had high hopes. Michael went off with a kind of skeleton crew to shoot the love scene in the park between Danny and Claire. They were shooting the scene, and a guard comes up to them. And we don't have any permits or anything like that for shooting here. We're just hoping to get the scene nice and quick. The guard comes up and goes, "What are you doing? We're making a film." "Oh yeah, what's this film about?" "It's an adult fairy tale."
No, the hanging was done very late at night, and it was really cold, and the camera people just used the car headlights and a big floodlight that was outside, and just put the camera in the right place to balance all those things, and just got lovely stuff.
A lot of my concern for the hanging scene was actually about the classic car, because we were using that to actually light the scene. The battery in the car would only last so long because it was quite an old car.
And then there was a bizarre climbing like harness thing, which was hung from the roof, and was just kind of squashing people when they were in it. And I remember everyone being afraid of hanging Michael Liebman for a while. Okay, the word is
Prototypical.
So we were shooting the cafe scene, and we scheduled it so it was like 11 or 13 pages of script all at the same time. But we thought it would be really easy to do because they were almost identical. It was 3 scenes, but they were almost identical with slight changes in between them. And we thought, well, that will make it easier. It didn't. It made it an absolute nightmare.
17 pages, which translate to 11 scenes, to get done in 9 hours, where everything's a little the same, but not completely.
Like slippy floor and noisy machines, and we all got lost immediately and didn't know. Have we done this shot before? I'm sure we have, because I've heard that line, but had you heard that line, or had you heard the other line that had one word changed in it? And in the middle of this, we had to have a cup smashing scene. So the cup was smashed, and it was slow-mo. It was a lovely shot, it was all fine, but health and safety first. Better get Ali in. So Ali came in on the wet floor with the coffee that had the jagged cup that had smashed, and she started falling, and then 10-15 minutes later, as everybody watched in kind of like slow motion horror, Ali eventually fell, and the shard of the cup went straight into her artery here, and then she started pissing blood everywhere, but going, I'm okay, I might need a little bit of hospital.
I ended up that day having to go to the A&E because I split my wrist open quite violently.
So she did need a little bit of hospital, so off she went, and I don't know, I can't really remember. That was not funny that day. That just went on forever. I remember I had really uncomfortable shoes. That's all I remember.
I got 6 stitches and I went right back to that place and I went back to work. And the next day we were doing the gig scene.
So we didn't think she was actually going to be there that day. And, we're doing our best. I remember being there with Marion, trying to get things as sorted out as he could. And then Ali kind of, heroically rolls into set.
My mother had drugged me up that morning so I could go in, because originally Michael and Richard was like, no, you stay in bed, you must be in bed. And then I went, no, can't leave the team, gotta go in. So I went in drugged up, and we filmed the gig scene, which I think about 4 hours. Having to keep that amount of hype up and being that painkillered up was quite an enjoyable experience, and the lights were cool. And we did one of my favourite shots, which is when Slaney was dragged on the carpet.
The gig was really good fun because it was friends of mine from when I was kind of a teenager from my hometown, and they had been in a band. We used one of their songs for the fake band to be singing. In an amazing idea, we said, "Here, would you just do it? Because we can't get anybody else. We don't want to cast a band, but we want your song. So would you do both?" So they came and played their song, just switched the singer for James, the actor.
James brought so much energy as a performer, because he was like, I don't sing, but like he really brought it out there, and it actually just felt like we were at a gig.
Like, you normally play back the track and the band would mime to it, but the band actually played the song. James was excited to be doing the rock star thing as well on stage.
And we just kind of shook the cameras, got loads of extras in. Ali and Richard got loads of extras in, and it was really good fun that day. That was a good day shoot.
And I think that was like the beginning of our last week as well. So we had done 2 weeks previous, and then we were into our 3rd and final week, and it was just this amazing experience. And then when we were cleaning up, accident-prone Scarf walks right into half a shutter door and gets a massive bruise above her eye. So 6 stitches and a bruise, and yeah, great crack. It was a really hard day. The next day I think we had scheduled like 14 hours, and it was starting in the afternoon. And it was going till about 4 o'clock in the evening, and we were all quite tired. And the 3 main ones, Michael, Richard and myself, we were feeling it then, because it was like 16 days, 17 days in. And like, although we gave other people days off, we didn't take days off. So you're talking about 8 weeks constant work, and it was kind of, we hit the wall that morning.
We were kind of against the gun to try and get Michael Liebman finished and back to get a bus up north. And we finished up the scene and we got all the shots we needed with him. I was driving him back and I just felt very low. And I remember, me and Michael walking up then to the apartment where everyone else was waiting before we did the final scenes in the film that were set in Temple Bar. And Michael turns to me and goes like, it's late and all that kind of thing, but there's all these people here waiting for us, and we should try to keep spirits up. And I remember walking into that room, and I don't know if anyone was buying it, but I was just, whoa, hi, hey everyone, we're doing great, yo, aren't you doing good? I think everyone chirped up when they saw someone having a mental break.
We kind of powwowed together, made everyone a cup of tea and fed people chili, and then we all got happy again. And it is the least you can do. Make tea for everyone, or coffee, and feed them.
I felt very bad for the girls coming up from Waterford, though. To come up for the shoot, they had about a 2.5 hour drive up. We did one shot just in the crowd. It was supposed to be for a sort of montage of Slaney going through and she sees Quillen in the crowd of people. And that's literally all she came up for. And there was a wardrobe malfunction where she ended up with a modern day denim jacket still left on over her wardrobe. So the shot ended up being unusable.
Mr. Queer's office. That was only shot twice. There was problems such as the location being tiny, me being in most of the shots looking like some sort of horrible rabbit, and then just stuff not working out.
Street cleaners. We shot in Temple Bar, which is a major tourist area. We just had a ridiculous amount of street cleaners coming. We'd watch it slowly go down. 5 minutes later, it's finally gone, turned at the end of the street. We think we're good to go again, and suddenly another one comes out from the side, and we have to wait again for that one.
I love the horses, doing the horses.
The reshoots.
The reshoots of the horses and pickups of horses, I love that. But it's easier, it's much more relaxed when it's just you and the horses.
Jacinta had built this cage for us, and we shot it up in the stables. We had an actual projection going on against the wall. I think for the actors, it was a really good scene. Both James and Slaney kind of came out of it, I think, feeling a catharsis with it. All the college stuff is shot in DCU, which our executive producer had an office at. Our last day of shooting of principal photography was actually in DCU. I believe it's the scene of Slaney walking down a hallway with a letter in her hand. There was a great sigh of relief when we wrapped the shoot. Little did we know what post-production had in store.
Because it was our first thing, we were kind of sort of reading books, going, what should you do? But unfortunately, the book we were reading is what you should do if you have an endless supply of money. We hadn't found the book that said what to do when you just need things done. So we decided we were going to worry about formats and workflows.
Well, once we finished shooting, it was kind of strange because I think 10 days later I moved country and went to do my final year in college. So it was a little weird because you had to continue on as a producer and try move it forward. But at that point, I was also trying to focus and finish my degree. So it was a little stagnant, I suppose, at places.
And then trying to get an editor, because it had to be a very fancy editor that was going to do the rewrite that myself and Ali had promised that the editor would have to do instead of us.
We took the advice of some people and went with this one editor in London who me and Ali went out to meet and gave everything to, and it didn't work out. It was a bit of a sour experience.
It was a distance thing, so it didn't really work out. Then we got another one, and having learned our lesson, this guy was slightly further away than the first one, and he was really good. Jonathan, that was.
He was actually very good, but he was, like a good editor, busy. A lot of scenes that he cut are actually still in the film.
He was really savage, but just savage people are always busy. Oh, that's a terrible lead up to saying we got Richard, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Savage people are always busy. So when he was busy, we got Richard.
Ali and Michael kind of went, well, we've kind of danced around this for a while, but, Richard, are you not an editor? Can you not cut this?
Yeah, so we kind of went, yeah, I mean, you're a really good editor. But, I don't know, could you do something like that length and that annoying? And, yeah, he could. And that's the end of the story. Well, it was the end of that story, and then there was a little bit of Richard Forever.
It started in my bedroom and it went to Michael's. It was fine.
I got the first cut done in about a month, then upgraded to Michael's bedroom, and we slowly chipped away at this film.
So we we knew we'd have a long post, but it was a little longer than we expected.
To having it in the can was 12 weeks. but the edit and finishing it took 2.5 years. And that was tough because it was during very, I suppose, very changing times for the three of us.
I think Richard, he was working, he was listening too much to me, and that added a year on, I think.
It became obvious that the funding from our financier was not going to keep coming, so we had to start adding in our own money to get things done. We initially looked to crowdfunding.
I couldn't see that working. It is kind of like sort of pressurising for your family and friends, but that's what happened, and they helped us out and gave us the money we needed to finish it. So it's a fair play to them.
It was insane to think that to finish this film, we were being told we needed to raise more money than it actually cost to shoot it. And I think when we went for our crowdfunding, we shot too high because we went for what people were telling us we needed to have as opposed to what we really needed to have.
And then we became so insular that we genuinely thought it was an amazing film. And then when we got feedback, it was like, oh, no, it's not. Oh my God, what have we done?
We got to a point where we thought the film was done. And we started submitting to certain festivals. And we were kind of shocked and taken aback when nothing came of it.
So I suppose we did kind of sort of bank on our local festival, and then they got back and just said, no, it's not really for us. And I think we were kind of shocked. And we were, what do you mean our rough cut, first cut of a film that hasn't had sound on or any colour and makes no sense? What do you mean you don't want to show it? No, we didn't actually say that. We just kind of went, yeah, okay, sorry about that. Sorry, we shouldn't have said it. Sorry. At that stage, I suppose we thought, that's kind of a death nail on that.
That's when Kieran kind of stepped in, was he really kind of gave us this advice of doing things like showing the hanging at the beginning, restructuring our first act.
He reckoned we were, like, we'd been working together too closely without anybody else's opinion, and we were hiding things from the audience because we knew what was going to happen. But the audience, of course, hadn't a clue because they were seeing it for the first time.
Like, we moved scenes from, like, third act back to the first act, and that completely changed the tone of what that scene was supposed to be. So, like, we had to go reshoot some scenes so the tone would actually fit in. And once it did, it actually tied the film all in together, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm sure there was days where it felt like it might never end. But we got to a point where, like, we went, actually, we kind of got there. It's a complicated film. There's a lot of different trails to kind of follow down, little different things that have to connect, but it's really ties up well in the end.
And it killed us. We were kind of, look at this, it's so like kind of obvious what's happening. But we thought this would really kind of dumb it down, and it didn't. That was good advice, and we followed that advice.
We could move it on to sound, which was something we all really enjoyed, building a soundscape for the film. Again,
like the editor, we got somebody who was quite good, had great ideas, but just the time thing wasn't working out, and so we ended up going back, like we did with the editor, back to a friend, somebody we knew really well. So Ivan and Shane then took over and just did an amazing job with sound. And
I just remember, I remember Michael getting more and more happier with the film as the sound got better and better. Ivan also did all the ADR for us. We did that over a couple of days with people.
So Shane and Ivan did an amazing job at that, and I absolutely love it. And Steve Nolan did an amazing score that really tied it in together with the kind of electronic meets the old period time, and it kind of wove and mixed in with the story, and I absolutely loved it. It was so lovely that even after 2.5 years, still feeling like a failure, but then having this amazing sound thing that you did learn from, and you realised even if I felt we took too long to do it, there's still these amazing experiences that we are learning from. The film still looks lovely, and it still has like a moment in time, and it still has its place to shine. And then we got this amazing opportunity to do a grade.
I just noticed that this name kept popping up as colorist at the end, so I approached EMC, colouring post-production house.
And the grader kind of told us what we wanted as opposed to what we'd asked for. And he was, again, like everybody else all along the way, he was right and we were wrong.
It was just so lovely to see it pop and come alive and be like, oh my God, even if this took us 3 years to get here, I can't believe it looks like this. It was a really exciting experience, and I think it really rejuvenated the three of us, because then we got our premiere.
Was just so exciting. We were working hard. There was photo shoots, there was working the promo, there was getting a DCP made so the film could be projected in the cinema.
think the moment it really hit me that this was a film was when we were testing it out on a big screen. It was pretty awe-inspiring because you're like, oh, I made this and it looks like a real film.
Premiere was amazing. I was down with Jacques and Kiva and Bump, who, as he appears in the credits, who turned into Arthur the year after that. It was lovely because I went to college in Cork and I lived there, so I went down, just met up with all old friends, went down, had an amazing time.
We were on our way down to Cork. We were on the train, and our very first review came in. It was with Gore Press, and they gave us a really positive review.
And that was such an exciting experience because we knew the three of us could go down and we could promote it and we could be pretty much pimps, because that's what you are when you make a feature film. And it's kind of an exciting experience to do that and kind of interact with people who have watched the film or have heard about the film and trying to get people to see it and kind of get it out there.
And the actual screening itself wasn't exactly what I would have hoped for. We had quite a good turnout, but the sound in the theatre, half the speakers were gone.
Of course, at the festival we had the normal technical problems that happen at festivals. But I think I preferred when we kind of had our second premiere in Bray, where we put it on kind of local hometown. It was full and everybody was happy, and yeah, a really good night that night.
Those nights, those moments are what you realise you kind of do it all for, you know? We didn't make the film to make money, we made the film because we wanted to see a film like this made, and we were finally, after years, able to share it.
It just kind of snowballed for like a year, which is a lot of fun to get it out there and to get it to different festivals and to actually reach people, because at the end of the day it may have been 3.5 years from concept to end, but at the end of the day you're making films for people, you're out there to share your story.
I think after that it was America, a couple in Europe. It came back to Ireland, played in Australia and Cambodia and like Mexico, well, like sort of all around the place as well.
Cyprus and Greece, and in Greece we won an award, and that was pretty exciting. It's that like kind of like seal of approval from your peers that you're like, yes.
And then in Italy we ended up actually getting the Best Director award from Michael. People seem to really enjoy the style, they enjoyed the acting, they enjoyed the puzzle of it. Which is also kind of, the puzzle is kind of one of the things that a lot of people didn't like about it, because it's not an easy film. We didn't set out to make an easy film, so you couldn't really ask for better reviews.
There's quite a standard way of doing things, and what we set out to do was just to do something different from that, and to do something that didn't make sense but still felt like a cinema experience.
And to see that story shared and to actually interact with people who have seen it is really exciting, because it's like, it's no longer insular, it's no longer mine, it's yours as well, so it's everybody's. And that little moment of like seeing someone actually react, and even if it's negative, kind of makes it all worth it, because it's like you had a reaction, you had an emotion, I made you feel something. It's very exciting, like no money, nothing, just that moment. It's pretty worth it.
So thank you very much to everybody that helped us. That's cast, family, friends, crew, local businesses, everybody with a location or a talent. Thank you very much.